Chelsea have just 2 league wins from 6 matches, and fans already calling for Enzo Maresca's head. And can you really blame them? It's been an up and down season so far for the Premier League. Chelsea, last match at Old Trafford, gets sent off early. Sanchez, big mistake. And I don't really like the game management that Enzo Maresca had in that match. I just felt that taking out our 2 best players, Estevao and Pedro Neto, sort of limited their attack, and then bringing on just more defensive, more conservative side. It didn't really work out. We lost to Manchester United. And look, Man United haven't even been that great this season. They've been struggling all season under Ruben Amorim. I'm sure you guys already know all that. And for Chelsea to go to Old Trafford and then not be able to at least leave with a draw is a huge disappointment. And then just giving up red card early, and then it's the adjustments. We should playing against a Manchester United side where Chelsea should be able to take Man United on. We should not have been so conservative. Should have definitely kept on Estevao on the field. But let's move on to the Brighton match. So against Brighton, Chelsea do go up early, but then it felt like it was a lot of sideways passes, wasn't really going anywhere. And then look, Chalobah finally he does get sent out, but it's just it's the game management that happens after that. It's the fact that we're at home, it's Stamford Bridge, and instead of just trying to close that game out, grind out this win, we go conservative again, taking out Santos, Neto, and Estevao. Those are 3 players that Chelsea Twitter likes, and I think they're really great players, really surely great offensively. But look, we take those players out and we bring in Badiashile and Gusto. And look, Gusto right now isn't it. He made that run in that transition that everybody saw, and then immediately just cuts back, passes the ball instead of going and being direct. So that was a huge disappointment. So it's the in the game management here. It's it's Stamford Bridge. Why are we playing like a small club? To me, that's small club energy, right? It's Chelsea. We're playing at home. We should be bringing it to Brighton, but instead bring in Malo Gusto, and then it's just conservative play. And it's not working. It's back-to-back weeks where we've seen Maresca handle the 10 men, make these conservative subs. And this is a Chelsea team that has a lot of quality. Better players than what Brighton have, and then better chemistry certainly than what Man United have going on over there. And for Chelsea to just be at home at Stamford Bridge and play like a small club, and then let these teams take advantage of us at home. We let Welbeck score 2 goals. Right? This is a Chelsea side that should be beating Brighton. Even with 10 men, I expect that Chelsea should not to leave Stamford Bridge without a point is not what the kind of Chelsea that we'd expect to see. So that in itself, Enzo Maresca got it wrong for this match against Brighton. The adjustments, if you take out Pedro Neto and Estevao because you feel like they weren't playing that well, that's fine. But you got Garnacho, you got Gaines on the bench, so very questionable to bring in Gusto where it's just not working. Chelsea's defense and these players relying on the defense to carry us through a match where we're up a goal with just 10 men is not the strategy. It didn't work at Old Trafford, and it's not working at Stamford Bridge. So those are my thoughts. But there's also Joao Pedro. They can't get him going. Joao Pedro, he's not looking like the Club World Cup version. So I know Lindelof is injured, and it's just Joao Pedro, but they got to be able to get him going soon, because if Joao Pedro's not scoring goals, it's not going to happen, right? But to be fair here, if I'm trying to be fair about Enzo Maresca, his record overall is just 5 losses in the last 6 months, and then 4 of them came with the red card. But to be fair here, when it comes to red cards, I've always felt that Chelsea have played traditionally really good with the red card. I do remember in the Jose Mourinho days that sometimes we get a red card and I'd be like, wow, Chelsea are probably going to play better. And they did in fact back then play better. We would actually close those games out. So I do feel like Chelsea have been playing with 10 men and it's worked out. And then just thinking about this match, right? If this was at Anfield, do you think that Liverpool, it got 10 men and they would play defensively and they would let a team like Brighton come at them at the game? No, Liverpool would not play like that. They play like a big club and they play on the front foot. So that's my point, is that yes, Enzo Maresca has lost those matches on the red cards, but that's still 4 losses in those matches with red cards, and you got to at least get a win in those or at least a draw. So there's that. But there's also Bluco as well. If I'm going to go after Maresca, I got to give a little bit to Bluco. Bluco kind of set up Maresca a little bit up to fail, if I'm being... So they didn't bring in the center back when Levi Colwill got injured, and that was a big mistake because Chelsea went through a long Club World Cup. Players got a lot of minutes. So we knew that off the bat, even though this squad has some decent depth, we knew that there could be sort of like a hangover from that. And that's what we're seeing, right? So we lost a center back, and the defense and the defensive mids and just trying to hold that down. It's just not working when we're down a goal. We're trying to protect the lead. And then Chelsea, what I also feel like is they didn't bring in an experienced player, and that's kind of what this team needs. It's kind of like a Thiago Silva. So they kind of missed out on bringing in leadership, somebody with more experience, because right now the excuse is a bunch of kids, so then let's bring in some leadership in there. And then, look, Liam Delap got injured at the beginning of at the end of the transfer window, but Chelsea did have enough time to, I felt like they had enough time to bring in somebody to reinforce that position, and then they didn't. They brought Gueye, and it's just, we let Nico Jackson go, and I remember they tried to bring him back, and it wasn't going to happen, but still, they could have brought in an extra player in depth, because right now it's just Joao Pedro. Cole Palmer's out, right? So there's no Cole Palmer magic to carry this team through. So then now we got Mourinho coming to Stamford Bridge, right? So, Mourinho with Benfica, Chelsea have beaten Benfica 4 times. We beat them in the Club World Cup. So this is a match that Chelsea should be winning. I would expect that Chelsea at home against a team that they've beaten 4 times, that Chelsea should win this match. But do I have a lot of confidence entering this match? Not really. Look, Chelsea have traditionally been a big club that plays in these Champions League kind of games, and then that's just not. They go to Bayern, and then it's like, oh, we lose 3-1, and everyone's like, well, it's okay because you're playing at a big top European place, and it's just the crowd's really big and the energy, and like we all forget that Chelsea's a big club, and like this is what the fans are used to. We're used to going to Allianz Arena and winning a Champions League. That's what Chelsea's used to. So this small club energy of, well, the players, they finally played at a big night in Champions League, like that is not the Chelsea that we know. We know that Chelsea have played big nights in big Champions League, and I go back to 2011 against Barcelona, playing the Camp Nou, going down to 10 men, John Terry getting sent off, and then Chelsea still winning that match with the goal from Ramirez and Torres. So we never played like a small club, and we shouldn't be changing that, but that's kind of what it feels like. It feels like it's been a small club. And then if I'm going back to Bluco and leadership, the difference between the difference between Abramovich and Bluco is Abramovich would have brought new players in. If he felt that the squad needed more reinforcements, he would have got who he needed. And Bluco's kind of running it more like a business, and they feel like they kind of like ride this out, because to them, the goal is, let's just finish top 4. Right? If we finish in the top 4, it'll keep the fans happy. But Chelsea have always been a club that goes for Champions League wins. We go for winning the Premier League. And at some point, this project, this rebuild that Bluco has been doing, it has to start producing something. And I know that we got this Club World Cup, but that's kind of like a synthetic cup. It's something that kind of happened towards the end of the season when kind of a lot of teams kind of fizzled out in terms of they were out of their peak already, right? And then we were kind of just hitting ours. So that's kind of like that's what Chelsea need to build off of that, yes. But the goal has always been Chelsea winning the Premier League. It's not just let's make the top 4 and let's play in the Champions League, but let's have the realistic expectations that this Chelsea team is probably not good enough to win the Champions League, but let's pretend that it's okay, that we're a small club, and that Chelsea enters the Champions League, and that we should not expect to win. That is not what this club has been about. Abramovich was always, we have to win, it's win now, and this is kind of like sort of been the up and down that we've experienced with Chelsea, where sometimes Chelsea's doing good and then we're winning the Club World Cup and then we're winning games, and then this happens. It becomes kind of like last season Chelsea, where it's still, it's not good enough right now. Abramovich would have sacked the manager and would have fixed it. And Enzo Maresca, I like Enzo Maresca. So I'm not saying that we should sack Enzo Maresca at all, but I'm just saying that moves were certainly made when they were needed, whether that's bringing on players or just he made sure that wins happened. And that's not what I'm seeing right now at Chelsea. So Jamie Carragher, he said it best. At what point is Chelsea going to actually see the results of this project? So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this rebuild is going well? Do you think that Chelsea is going to beat Benfica? Post your thoughts in the comments.